Hey guys, so today is Tuesday, March 9th, and this is your lesson for today. We are in a new book today called Separate is Never Equal. So, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to focus on just the illustrations. We're not actually going to read the book today, we're just going to focus on the illustrations. So, remember that today it is our first lesson. So we're going to have a vocabulary video. But before we get started, remember that our essential question, our big question for Module 3 has been, how can people respond to this? And because we have a new book today, we have a new focusing question. We have a new medium-sized question. And it is, how Mendez family respond to injustice? Remember before we had, how did Ruby Bridges respond to injustice? But now we're talking about the Mendez family. And today's content framing question, our small question, is to wonder, what do I notice and wonder about separate is never equal? And our learning goals for today are to ask and answer questions about the illustrations in separate is never equal. Okay, so we're not actually going to read the book, we're just going to be looking at the illustrations. All right, and so with that in mind, we are going to start with our vocabulary video. We have a new set of vocabulary words, and I want to go ahead and share with you the new vocabulary list. Okay, so if you go to the page to classwork, this is week 10. I know we were only supposed to have 9 weeks, but we have 10 weeks this time. Here is the new text. Separate is never equal. So you have a copy of that posted already. And here are your new vocabulary words with pictures of what they should look like in your vocabulary journal. We're going to be on page 50, 51, and 52. You only have 6 vocabulary words this time. So you're going to be working on those in your vocabulary journal. Make sure that you are writing the word, the definition, and creating an illustration for that word. We will have this week and probably the week after spring break for the rest of Module 3, and then we'll be all finished with Module 3. So your vocabulary journal will not be due until that last Friday. I'm sorry, not the last Friday, but the Friday after spring break, like 26th, I think is when it is. So you have a little while to work on those, okay? But just make sure that you are studying and practicing. And with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and get started on our video for vocabulary.
Hello, second grade friends, and welcome back to Grade 2, Module 3, Vocabulary. I'm Mrs. Nowell. Today, we're practicing vocabulary for Focusing Question Arc 5. Let's begin. Our first word can be pronounced separate or separate. Let's say separate. By looking at the icon, I can see that there were 2 people that were together and now they're not. So with your hands, you can do that icon where they're together and now they're not. Let's read the definition. The definition of separate is to set or keep things apart. Again, try using that motion. Now, let's listen to the word and definition in Spanish.
Separar significa dividir o mantener cosas aisladas.
Fantastic. Let's practice reading the word separate in a sentence. You can follow along as I read, or you can read with me. When I put the dishes away, I placed the forks in a separate location from the spoons. Now, you practice reading this sentence on your own. Fantastic. Thank you for practicing reading this sentence. For this practice, I want you to practice the vocabulary with your learning partner. I'll ask a question. Please answer in a complete sentence. Mr. Mendez knew that it is wrong to separate students based on race or nationality. He wanted his children to go to the same school as the other children. Why do you think that it is important not to separate students in school? I think that it is important to keep students together because pause the video and talk to your learning partner using the sentence frame. I think that it is important to keep students together because. Welcome back. I answered this question this way. I think that it is important to keep students together because we all can learn from each other. I wish I could hear how you answered that question. Our next word is inferior. Let's say inferior. And you noticed I used my hand, inferior, giving it a thumbs down. When I think that something is inferior or I give it a thumbs down, it makes me think maybe it's not as good. So by looking at the icon, I see the thumbs down and it reminds me that it's not good. Let's read the definition. The definition of inferior is of lesser quality. Now, let's listen to the word and definition in Spanish.
Inferior significa de menor calidad.
Let's practice reading the word inferior in a sentence. Please read along with me or follow along as I read. The cookies from the store are inferior to the homemade cookies my family makes. Now, you try reading the sentence. When I think about this sentence, it makes me think the cookies from the store are actually pretty good, but the cookies that my family makes are so much better. Thank you for practicing reading your sentence. Our last word is superior. Let's say superior. By looking at the icon, I can see a thumbs up. And in this one, we're really talking about a person. So a person who is higher up. So that icon can help me think of a person who's higher up. Let's read the definition. The definition of superior is a person of higher rank or importance. Let's listen to the word and definition in Spanish.
El superior o la superiora significa una persona de rango más alto o de más importancia.
Let's practice reading the word superior in a sentence. Please follow along and read with me or read aloud with me as I read the sentence. The soldier talked to his superior about helping the community. Now you try. Thank you for practicing reading that sentence. Remember, when we practice reading, we can become better readers. To review, here are the 3 words we practiced today. Let's say them each one more time. Separate. Inferior. Superior. Please remember to use these words as much as you can in writing and speaking. Thank you for learning with me today, and thank you for doing great things and using great vocabulary. See you next time.
Okay, so those were 3 of our new words. And if you look at our vocabulary study guide, we have the word inferior, to be of lesser quality, not as good as something or someone else. To improve means to make something better. Superior is a person of higher rank or importance. Separate is to be set apart or keep apart. Reject means to refuse to accept, to approve, or believe something. And then the last one is the word convince, which means to cause someone to believe or accept something different than they previously believed. So those are your vocabulary words for this week, the next 2 weeks. And now we're going to get right into our video for today. Alrighty, here we go.
Welcome back, curious observers. I'm Sue Sabella, your Great Minds teacher. Let's see what we need for today. Today, we'll be looking at the cover of Separate is Never Equal, Sylvia Mendez and her family's fight for desegregation. If you have your own copy of this book, you can grab that along with your journal and your pencil. If you do not have a copy of this text, no worries. I'll be showing the cover on the screen. Pause here to grab what you need and just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so like Miss Sabella said, she is going to be showing you the copy, and plus you have a copy uploaded digitally of the book. You do need your journal and you do need a pencil.
Today, I'm going to get you started with your observations and your wonder questions, and your classroom teacher will continue with the rest of the story. As we begin to explore this new text, this big idea or essential question will continue to guide our thinking. Pause here to read this question to yourself, and then just hit play when you're ready to continue.
How can people respond to injustice?
As we explore a brand new text, this focusing question will also guide our thinking as it is specific to this new text. Let's choral read this question. How did the Mendez family respond to injustice? What do I notice and wonder about this text? During today's lesson, you'll be noticing what's on the cover of this text. And as you notice, as you look closely, questions will begin to pop into your head as well that are directly connected to your observations. Please pause here to set up a notice and wonder question tea chart in your journal. Just hit play when you're ready to dive into the cover.
Okay, so we are on page 150 of our knowledge and response journal. So make sure you have your journal out. We're on page 150, guys. You are 150 pages smarter than you were in August. So on page 150, you are going to write the title, Separate is Never Equal. You're going to do your notice and your wonder. And I just realized I forgot to put my date in there. I need to squish my date in there. It is 3-9. And I just put it up in the corner. Okay, so make sure that you make your T chart so that you are ready to make some notices and wonders about the illustrations on the cover of the book. Notice Miss Sabella stressed that. The cover. We're not going to read the book today, and we're not even going to look inside the book today. We're just looking at the cover, okay? And again, I posted a picture, so if you need to pause the video and go look at the pictures to spell the words correctly, that's fine. Alrighty, here we go, back to the video.
This text introduces us to another real family who responded to injustice, the Mendez family. The name of this text is Separate is Never Equal, Sylvia Mendez and her family's fight for desegregation. Sylvia and her family fought against segregation. Segregation means to keep apart. What do you know about the word separate? Pause here to chat about that word with your learning partner and just hit play when you're ready to continue.
So what do you guys know about the word separate or separate? Think about that. If your mom gives you a big pile of toys and asks you to put different toys in separate piles, what is she asking you to do? Maybe she wants you to put all the action figures in one pile and the dolls in another pile and the balls in another pile. You're making sure that each group is separate.
How does the word separate connect with the illustration on the front cover? What do you notice about the children? Pause here to jot down what you're noticing in your journal. Just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so what I do want you to do right now is I want you to look at the cover of the book, just the illustrations, okay? And tell me one or two things that you notice. I'm sure you could come up with a lot of things that you notice about this illustration. And when you are done, you can hit play to continue.
While we're making observations or while we're noticing, questions often pop up in our minds that are connected to those observations. For example, you may have noticed that the children are walking in separate or different directions. When I noticed that, a question popped into my mind. I wondered, why are they going in different directions? My wonder question is directly connected to what I was noticing. Pause here to look back over what you noticed and jot down a few why and how questions connected to what you've been observing. Just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so here's what Miss Sabella just asked us. I will model it with my questions. Okay, so I wrote for my notice questions, I noticed a big white building on the left side. Did you guys notice the big white building? Okay, but then I also noticed that on the right side of the cover, there was an old rundown building. So those were my two notices. Well, I can take two of those notices and turn it into a wonder question. And I can wonder, why do the buildings look so different? So my other notice was I noticed the children on the left side of the cover have nicer clothes and nicer bags than the children on the right side. And my other two wonder questions were, why do they have their backs to each other? And why do the children in each group look similar? So like the children on the left side of the book, they all had light skin, light hair, nicer clothes. The right side of the book cover all had darker skin, dark hair, and it looked like they had not as nice clothes on, like work clothes on. So that is what I was wondering. So I cannot wait to see what you guys wrote for your notice and wonder.
That's right. There's a check mark in the corner, and you know what that means. Your classroom teacher will take this opportunity to check in with you and to check over your journal for your observations or what you noticed and your wonder questions. Make sure you push yourself with some how and why questions. Pause here if there's anything else you'd like to add to your notice and wonder chart, and just hit play when you're ready to wrap up today's lesson.
Okay, so you are going to make sure that you have at least two notices and at least two wonders. And then you are going to take a picture of your notice and wonder chart and add it into the Google Classroom assignment for today. But if you want to take a few minutes right now and just add to your notice and wonder chart, that would be great. Just hit play when you're ready.
And again, you're going to continue with the rest of the text with your classroom teacher. I wish I could see what you're noticing and also those amazing wonder questions that you're generating or making. Have a great time noticing and wondering with your friends, and I will see you again very soon.
Okay, so that is actually all that we have for today. We are not going to notice and wonder in the rest of the book until tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to read the story. So just make sure that you get your notice and wonder chart today from the cover of the book completed and uploaded into the Google slide. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye.